You probably think getting a golden retriever means joy-warm cuddles and unconditional love. I thought so too, until I sat in silence staring at my favorite couch torn to shreds on our very first night together. I loved that dog with all my heart, but I had no idea what I was stepping into. No one told me the truth, the real truth about what it takes to raise a golden the right way. And because of that, I made mistakes that still leave me feeling guilty even years later. If you're thinking about getting one, let me share the 10 things I wish someone had told me. It could spare you years of frustration, confusion, and heartbreak. Raising a dog can be the most beautiful thing, or the one mistake you can never undo. So let's start with the very first thing you absolutely need to know before you bring a golden into your home. 1. Get your puppy from a reputed breeder. Imagine walking into a pet shop, locking eyes with a fluffy golden puppy, and thinking, this is it. This is the one. Your heart says yes. But what if the puppy's heart carries something hidden genetic issues? You can't see illnesses that won't show for months. You take home a bundle of joy, and months later, it becomes months of vet visits, pain and guilt. That's what happened to me. No one told me the difference between buying a dog and meeting the right dog. A reputable breeder doesn't just hand you a puppy, they hand you a future companion whose health, temperament, and early care have been carefully guarded. Do they test for hip dysplasia, for eye diseases? Are they breeding for money or for the love of the breed? These aren't questions you ask. After the fact, they're questions that protect your future. It's tempting, I know. You want to rescue, you want to save, you want to give love fast. But trust me, the worst heartbreak isn't when a dog dies. It's when you realize you brought them into pain you could have prevented. So, how do you find the right breeder? What should you look for in their answers, in their home, in the eyes of the puppy's parents? That's something I'll show you in the bonus guide at the end of this video. But before that, let's talk about energy. Golden Retriever puppies don't come with an off switch. 2. Check health tests for puppy and parent. Now here's the part almost no one talks about until it's too late. You meet a puppy. It looks perfect. Soft coat, bright eyes, tail wagging like it's already known you for years. But inside that tiny body, there could be silent codes, genetic traps, waiting to wake up months or even years later. And by the time they show you're already in love, you're already all in. Have you ever paid for love with vet bills and sleepless nights? Have you ever sat in an emergency clinic holding a trembling dog, asking yourself, could I have prevented this? Every good breeder should show you test results, not just for the puppy, but for the parents too. Hip scores, eye checks, heart screenings. Not fancy paperwork to impress, but real data that protects your dog's future. Without these, it's like driving off in a car with no brakes, smooth at first, then disaster. And here's the kicker. Many breeders will say, champion bloodline, like it's a magical word. But unless they show you the lineage, the certificates, the science behind the title, it means nothing. A crown without proof is just a story. So what questions should you ask to spot the real from the risky? What red flags should make you walk away, no matter how cute the puppy is? I've got a checklist coming at the end of this video for that. But first, get ready. Because Golden Retriever puppies, they're not exactly the nap-all-day type. 3. Understand hyperactivity in puppyhood. They look like little angels. Floppy ears, golden fur that begs to be hugged, eyes that say, "Take me home." But here's the part you don't see in those cute videos online. A Golden Retriever puppy is like a furry tornado with a heartbeat. And once you let it into your living room, nothing is safe. Did you imagine coming home from work, Curling up with your puppy on the couch, sipping tea while it naps beside you, I did. What I got instead was a whirlwind biting chair legs zooming across the hallway, launching itself at curtains like a superhero in training. This isn't bad behavior. This is normal. Golden Retriever puppies are wired for energy. They're not broken. They're not misbehaving. They're just alive. Intensely alive. The question is, are you ready for that level of life? And here's the danger. People mistake that energy for disobedience. So they scold, isolate, or give up. But what if we saw it differently? What if we treated that chaos like music and learned to dance with it? How much playtime is enough? When do you know it's too much? What kind of games drain energy without damaging your furniture or your sanity? We'll get to that later in this video. I've even got a list of puppy energy hacks waiting for you. But first, brace yourself, because those tiny teeth, they're not just for eating kibble. 4. Puppies may bite, expect it. You've heard Golden Retrievers are gentle, right? The perfect family dog. Sweet with kids. Soft mouths. And that's all true eventually. But before they become the calm, loyal companion you dreamed of, they're tiny land sharks with fur. The first time my Golden bit me, I laughed. The second time, I flinched. By the fifth time, I started to wonder, did I bring home the wrong dog? But biting isn't aggression. It's communication. It's curiosity. It's a puppy trying to understand the world with its mouth. Like human babies, they chew to learn. The problem, their toys often end up being your hands, ankles, sleeves, or anything that moves. Have you ever tried to hug a puppy only to be met with sharp little teeth? It feels personal, but it's not. It's natural. The question isn't, how do I stop it? It's how do I teach them to choose differently? There's a rhythm to this stage, and if you miss it, if you punish when you should redirect or ignore, when you should intervene, you might accidentally teach fear instead of trust. So what's the right way to guide a biter without breaking their spirit? What toys actually help? How do you train bite inhibition without shouting, "No," 100 times a day? I'll walk you through that step by step later in this video. But before we even get to training, you need to know something critical. These pups don't just bite, they bounce. And they have to move. Every single day. 5. They need daily exercise even as pups. There's something magical about a Golden Retriever's energy. It's not just movement, it's motion with purpose, like their body is built to run toward joy. But here's the mistake many first-time owners make. They confuse cuteness with calmness. You see that sweet face lying down for 5 minutes and think, maybe he's mellowing out. No, he's recharging. Golden Retrievers, even as puppies, aren't made to sit still. They're not lapdogs. They're athletes in a baby body. Miss a day of exercise, you'll pay with shredded shoes, gnawed door frames, or that one time I found mine chewing the TV remote like it was beef jerky. And it's not just physical energy, it's mental. These dogs crave stimulation. A bored Golden isn't just destructive, it's anxious. Imagine a violinist locked in a room with no music. That's your Golden without movement. So how much is enough? And what kind of play actually drains energy without overstimulating them? Walks aren't always the answer. There's a method, a rhythm to exercising a Golden properly. You'll need it, especially during that wild puppy stage. I'll break that down for you later, including my daily 30-minute sanity saver routine that changed everything. But before we jump into games and routines, there's something more urgent. Because what happens when you leave your Golden alone, even for just an hour? That's where real trouble begins. 6. They don't like being left alone. At first it feels sweet. Your Golden follows you from room to room, curls up near your feet, watches you cook, clean, sit, breathe. It's like having a living shadow, soft, loyal, always there. But one day you close the door behind you, and that soft shadow shatters into panic. Golden retrievers were bred to work with humans. Their hearts are wired for closeness. So when you leave, whether for work errands or even just to take the trash out, they don't see it as time alone. They see it as abandonment. You come home to scratched doors, torn pillows, maybe a puddle on the floor, and you think, is this separation anxiety? It is, but it's also something deeper, a longing that turns into chaos. Have you ever looked into your dog's eyes as you grab your keys and felt their heart sink before you've even said goodbye? The mistake we make is assuming they'll get used to it. Some do, many don't. So how do you build independence without breaking that bond? How do you teach your golden to feel safe, even when you're not there? I've got a whole segment later on, creating emotional boundaries without emotional damage. But before we get into training calmness, let's talk fur. Because if you think your golden's affection is everywhere, wait until you see your couch, your clothes, your toothbrush. 7. Heavy shedding is inevitable. You think you've cleaned it all. You vacuum the couch, change the sheets, wipe down the car seat. And just when you sit back with a sigh of relief, you glance at your coffee mug. And there it is. A single golden hair floating like a tiny flag of surrender. If you live with a golden retriever, you don't just own a dog, you own fur. You wear it. You breathe it. It becomes part of your ecosystem. Shedding isn't just a seasonal thing. It's a lifestyle. Golden retrievers have a double coat designed for water, wind, and adventure. And while that coat looks stunning in photos, it has a secret it never stops letting go. Little by little, silently, it claims every corner of your life. At first, it's funny. You find fur in your cereal, in your wallet, on your toothbrush. You joke, well now, everything tastes like golden. But then comes the frustration, especially for older folks with allergies, breathing issues, or just a love for tidy spaces. So what's the solution? Grooming helps. Brushing, bathing, diet, sure. But here's the truth. No one says out loud, you don't fix shedding. You live with it. The real question is, can you? Are you ready to love a dog whose hair will cling to your clothes like a memory? Later in this video, I'll share the tools and grooming routines that saved my sanity and my vacuum. But before we brush off the fur talk, let's talk effort. Because this coat, it's just the beginning. The real maintenance cost of a golden is about to hit you harder than dog hair ever could. 8. High-maintenance grooming and coat care. People always say golden retrievers are beautiful, and they are undeniably. That silky golden coat that glows in sunlight like liquid honey. It's breathtaking. But here's the part they don't put on the brochure. Beauty, in this case, is hard work. Behind every majestic photo of a golden sitting in a field is a human with a brush, a mop, and a bottle of conditioner, wondering if this will ever end. Their coat isn't just for looks, it's armor, insulation, and expression. When it's well cared for, it shines. When it's neglected, it mats, it tangles, it smells like something crawled in and never left. Weekly brushing isn't optional, it's survival. Baths aren't every now and then, they're part of your schedule. And don't even get me started on the wet dog smell after a walk in the rain. Imagine living with a mop that follows you around sheds while it smiles and expects cuddles right after it rolls in the mud. But it's not just fur. Nail trimming, ear cleaning, dental care supplements for skin and coat, all part of the package. The question isn't, can I handle it? It's, will I stay consistent when life gets busy? Have you ever looked at your to-do list and thought, I barely have time to wash my own hair? How will I keep up with his? Don't worry, I'll walk you through a low-stress grooming routine later in the video that fits real life, not just Instagram expectations. But before we move into solutions, let's talk about the storm before the calm. Because if you think maintenance is hard, wait until you hit this phase the first year. It's chaos, growth, and moments that will test every ounce of your patience. 9. The first year is the toughest. Nobody tells you this up front, but the first year with a golden retriever can feel like raising a toddler on espresso. It's beautiful, yes, but it's also relentless. One minute you're laughing at how clumsy they are, and the next you're wiping pee off the carpet at 2 a.m., wondering if you're doing anything right. This stage isn't just about training, it's about survival. You're teaching them where to sleep, where to pee, what not to chew, how to stay calm when the mailman arrives, and how to be alone without thinking they've been abandoned forever. It's like sculpting chaos with your bare hands every day without a manual. Have you ever stood in your living room surrounded by toys, shredded paper, and muddy paw prints, and thought, did I make a mistake? You didn't. You're just in the storm. And storms pass. The first year tests your patience, your routines, your resilience. There will be accidents. There will be stubbornness. There will be days when you question your bond. But hidden inside that messy year is the foundation for the next decade. The love, the trust, the rhythm you're building it now, even when it doesn't feel like it. And the truth is, around month 12, something shifts. They start to settle. They look at you a little longer. They listen a little faster. That wild little puppy becomes your dog, your friend, your shadow. But before that happens, there's one more surprise waiting. A lot of owners miss it, because it happens quietly, almost overnight. And if you're not ready, it'll catch you completely off guard. Let's talk about growth. Not just in behavior, but in size. 10. They grow fast, plan for big size early. One day you're holding a puppy that fits in your arms, a ball of fur, warmth, and wonder. Then, almost without warning, that same puppy stretches, fills out, and suddenly you're looking eye to eye with a 70-pound teenager who still thinks he can sit in your lap. Golden retrievers don't just grow, they transform rapidly. Before you've even figured out the right leash or crate size, they've outgrown it. That collar you bought 2 weeks ago, tight already. The cozy little bed you picked out, now just a headrest. Have you ever turned around in your kitchen and nearly tripped over a dog who used to fit in one hand? It's funny until it isn't, because rapid growth doesn't just affect your floor space. It affects joints, behavior, feeding needs, even training. A big, strong dog who hasn't learned leash manners can pull down an adult. A puppy who's not crate-trained before he doubles in size, that becomes a battle, not a bedtime. So, here's the truth. You're not raising a puppy. You're preparing for a future adult. The question is, are you planning for the dog they are or the dog they're about to become? Later in this video, I'll show you my growth gear checklist to make sure you're always one step ahead, even as their paws keep getting bigger. And now that you know all 10 things, what should you actually do with this knowledge? Stick around, because in the next section, we're going to turn all this insight into action with tools, tips, and a quiet reminder of why loving a golden is worth every single mess along the way. So now, you know. Behind every wagging tail, every soulful golden stare, and every fuzzy cuddle, lies a truth most people never tell you. Raising a golden retriever isn't just about love. It's about patience, presence, and preparation. It's about showing up again and again, even when the floor is muddy, the leash is chewed, and your favorite chair smells suspiciously like dog breath. But here's the secret. No one tells you it's all worth it. Because one day, that wild little puppy will lay his head on your knee. He won't need to run. He won't need to bite. He'll just sit there peaceful, full-grown, and yours. And in that quiet moment, you'll realize all the effort, all the frustration, all the fur, it became something more. It became family. If this video helped you see even one thing more clearly, helped you prepare, helped you feel less alone, you can stay. There's more coming. More truths, more tips, more stories. Only dog lovers understand. So, go ahead, subscribe. Not just for me, but for the dog you haven't met yet. The one who's going to change your life in ways you can't even imagine. And if you already have a golden by your side, give them a hug for me. You're both doing better than you think.